IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Wire Talks. I'm Sidharth Bhatia. Cricket is not a game in India, it is a religion, goes the saying. And now this game is played through the year, which means there is a lot of money involved for everyone. The Board of Cricket Control of India, the organization that manages the game, has become the richest such body in the cricket playing world. Such money has also brought in temptation and corruption and much more. Match-fixing allegations emerged as far as back as in 1990s, but nothing came of it. But later, thanks to Supreme Court's intervention, an anti-corruption unit was formed. In 2015, the second such officer of the ACU, Neeraj Kumar, who had retired as the police commissioner, was appointed to head it. But did it cleanse the game of corruption? Not at all. In his new book, A Cop in Cricket, Neeraj Kumar gives a sordid picture of how this has not happened. Worse, he tells us that the BCCI of that period was not particularly serious about cleaning up things. His account tells us that the administration of that time, which was specifically appointed to clean up the game, just took things for granted. In his career of 37 years in the police, Kumar has been posted in many states including Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and New Delhi, and has received many awards including the President's Police Medal for Distinguished Service. Among the many high-profile cases he has been involved in was the infamous rape and murder case of Nirbhaya in Delhi, which his team solved successfully, and also the spot-fixing case in cricket, which resulted in the arrests of 3 players, including the fast bowler S. Sreesanth. He joins us as a guest to talk about his book and his stint at the BCCI. Neeraj Kumar, welcome to the Wire Talks.
Thank you, Sidharth.
Your long career in the police would have been full of ups and downs, but as you say in the book, the BCCI job, which lasted for all of 3 years, was full of, and this I'm quoting, full of ignominy and hurt. You say much more, but I'm just reducing it to these 2 strong words. We will go into the details as we go along, but could you quickly give us an overview of why do you say this?
See, Sidharth, the point was that I worked in an organization where I took respect for granted. I took deference and proper treatment for granted because ours is a very regimented setup, the police I'm referring to. But when I went there, there was utter lack of these things. There was, first of all, nobody took notice of me. Nobody wanted me there, I got the feeling. Nobody cared for me. I had an office to begin with. That office was also taken away without informing me. I never got an office thereafter. Whenever I would visit Bombay, I would sit in one cabin or the other. And never in my 3 years did anyone ask me, what do you think is happening? What is the corruption scene in cricket in India? What do you think we should do? What are your problems? I was going after them, giving presentation after presentation, telling them that we require more manpower, we require more resources, but it made no impression on them. It became very clear to me that they are not interested. It was just a box that they had ticked by appointing me, and that was the end of the matter.
Yeah, so this box thing that you mentioned even in the book, that the Supreme Court said time to clean up cricket, and it appointed professionals and administrators. But corruption per se, which was really speaking the Supreme Court's intention, even the new administration full of an IAS officer and a professional did not care to remove it or even tackle it or even, as you say, know about it. Why do you think that happened?
I wish I knew. I mean, the whole thing, the entire Supreme Court intervention originated from the 2013 spot fixing case. That was the starting point. And yet, nobody ever mentioned the term corruption throughout my 3 years. Nobody ever talked about it. I went after people telling them that I have this problem, that problem. I want to make a presentation to you. With great difficulty, I got time from them. And even when I got the time and I made a presentation as forcefully as I could, it made no impression on them at all. So that was the ignominy that I was referring to.
You know, the Supreme Court also appointed a committee. I think, if I remember, there was a banker and Ramchandra Guha and Diana Edalji. All three were members of it. And the interim president was Mr. Vinod Rai, who called himself the conscience of the nation. Two of them quit, didn't they? Immediately, almost soon after the whole administration was changed.
Yes, Mr. Ramchandra Guha, the famous historian, he has mentioned in his book Commonwealth of Cricket that he made several suggestions to Mr. Vinod Rai, and he found that he was not interested. The committee of administrators was not interested in his suggestions. So within months of his joining, he quit. And soon thereafter, Mr. Vikram Lime, who was the banker, he also quit. So Mr. Vinod Rai was left with just one member, Diana Edalji.
Now, coming to the actual problems that you saw and that you wanted to correct, and you corrected in a sense suo moto, without any kind of encouragement by the administrators. What were the serious problems you came across?
What I found was that the phenomena of private leagues had come up. Now, private leagues are that with the blessings of a state cricket association, you start a league. You may have heard of the Tamil Nadu Premier League, the Karnataka Premier League.
That's right.
And very soon there were many more, like the Rajwada Premier League, the Rajputana Premier League. And by then, I had a good network of informants. Most of our informants were players themselves. And they would tell us that so-and-so tournament is going on and this kind of corruption is being employed. So we would send our officers, observe what was going on, and it was clear to the naked eye that everything that was happening during the course of the private league was fixed. So I had two options, either to just keep quiet about it or to do something proactively and try to disrupt them. So during Rajputana Premier League, we involved the local police, that is the Jaipur police. They too observed the game and they too realized that it was all a big farce that was being played out, all for the purposes of betting and fixing. So they decided to join hands with us and we disrupted the league, arrested about 20 people, recovered a lot of cash and other material connected with the betting and fixing. And thereafter, I'm happy to report to you that a number of leagues that were planned within the country, they were abandoned. People realized that if you run an illegal league, a private league, then you are likely to get arrested. Not only will the league be stopped, you can even be arrested. That put the fear of God in them. Either they were fully abandoned or some of them tried to shift the league overseas.
Including one to Sri Lanka, if I
Yeah, Sri
remember.
Lanka, South Africa, Bahrain, and so on and so forth. Now, we did whatever we could by informing the concerned cricket boards of those countries that this private league, which is patently corrupt, is going to happen in your place. So you should try to ensure that it doesn't happen there. And I'm happy to report to you that most of the boards responded very positively and eventually those leagues were not held. Now, the point to be taken note of and understood is that it is possible to ensure that such leagues do not take place. And but I'm sorry to say that several years down the line, the leagues have re-emerged in one form or the other. And my fear is that each one of them is being held only for the purpose of corrupt practices.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I were to look at it as a lay person, I read your book and I've heard about these leagues. And you said, I think a little while ago, that these were for the express purpose of betting and gambling. That if the state body knew that mini league was happening in their state, and there was a lot of, to put it colloquially, hanky-panky going on, surely somewhere up the line, I don't know to what extent, there must have been some kind of official knowledge. Involvement may be too strong a word, but knowledge must have been there that these things are up to no good. Yeah, is that a correct conjecture?
Absolutely. It's not only that. People from the state cricket associations were the main organizers. They were the main organizers of the such leagues. The league that we disrupted, and I mentioned to you the Rajwada Premier League. I have mentioned the name of the cricket administrator from Rajasthan Cricket Association who was behind that league. So it is not only that it is with the blessings of the State Cricket Association, but organized by them, a member of that association. You are aware of the KPL, you are aware of the TNPL, where again several instances of corruption have been reported, cases registered, people arrested, and yet they are going on, and they are a big draw, as you know.
But how high up does it trickle up? How high does it trickle up? The knowledge. The knowledge. I'm not saying involvement.
Sky is the limit.
So it's one is constrained to say as a cricket fan that all is not well with the House of Denmark. Is old style corruption, gambling, spot fixing, match fixing, etc. in danger of returning?
Oh, they are already there. I mean, they are.
No. Pardon my naivety. Is it already there, or is it in danger of returning?
No, it is already there, very much there.
How so?
And it has graduated to a different level, where every ball is, every match is pre-scripted. Not only every match, but the outcome of every ball is pre-scripted. Whether it will be a no ball, whether it will be a wide ball, whether a 4 will be hit or a 6 will be hit, everything is predetermined.
Are you talking in terms of even the Premier League? That bad?
No, I'm not talking in terms of the Indian Premier League. Indian Premier League, I have written in my book also that the top level cricket is comparatively very much under control, and if corruption, if any, is within manageable limits. I am talking of the private leagues, and you name a league and it is corrupted.
And therefore, the spectators may be also part of the whole this.
No, spectators, I have talked about pitch siding. There are certain spectators who are sitting in the stands. They are passing on information through their mobile phones to their masters. What has been the outcome of a ball? What has happened once a ball was thrown? And they give this information, and as I've explained in the book, by the time people watch it on the television, there is a time lag of almost 14 to 15 seconds, during which people, the people who get to know of what has happened in real time have put their bets on that particular outcome, which has already happened. You are watching on your TV set, and you see a boundary being hit, but the guy sitting in, say, Jhunjhunu knows 15 seconds before you do that a boundary has been hit. So he puts all his money on the probability of 4 being scored, and everyone else, puts his money on other outcomes, 2 runs, 3 runs, no ball, white ball. But the fellow who has put his money on the boundary, on a boundary being hit, he rakes in the big bucks.
So, I mean, this will call for a huge operation, no?
Not only operation, it requires strong laws. There are no laws connected with cricket in sport. Corruption in sports in general. Why alone? Why cricket alone? So first of all, we require strong laws, and we require the will to fight the corruption. And my thesis is that the central sports bodies, whether it is the BCCI or say the Indian Hockey Federation or whatever the organization is in football, they all have to, if they are sincere, they have to have a very strong anti-corruption machinery. But the pity is the guys who are calling the shots, they themselves are people of dubious reputation, and they far from fighting corruption. In fact, they are part of it.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Hi, my name is Abbas. You can catch me on page 10 with Meghnad. Our guest is independent journalist Azania Patel. We talk about the technological advancements in the Ukraine-Russia war, Rahul Gandhi's Cambridge speech, and Fox News getting in legal trouble. Catch the episode on the All About Now podcast feed and YouTube channel. Hi, my name is Abbas. You can catch me on Has It Aged Well with my co-host Purjita Wani. We are discussing the 2002 film Aankhein with comedian Chirayu Mistry. We talk about the genius of Paresh Rawal, the weird things that Amitabh Bachchan does in this film, and how believable is the travel time in Mumbai in this film. Catch it on the IVM Pop feed and YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Wire Talks. So, Neeraj, during your tenure there, the new chairman, interim chairman was Vinod Rai, as I said, a bureaucrat with a clean reputation. There was a new CEO, Rahul Johri, and a committee with well-known names. You have persistently said in your book, because your book is about your 3 years, that the BCCI could have been cleaned up then. And you have consistently said to me just now, did your departure made any difference? I mean, did it strike them that things were going wrong and we should check them out, etc.? Or was it pure indifference? Because what you've said about the Premier League shows that things actually in some ways got worse.
My departure made one crucial difference. All the proposals, all my ideas that I had given to them, they waited for me to leave. And lo and behold, all of them got accepted and implemented. I had asked for more manpower. The anti-corruption unit got more manpower. I had asked for proper, office space. My successor got a proper office space, and so on and so forth. So whatever I had recommended, whatever ideas I had floated, they waited for me to leave and they got implemented.
Now, there was a reason why I had asked that question, and your answer gives me the perfect excuse to go into it. Is it possible, the way you have written about Mr. Rai and Mr. Johri, and how you felt let down a few times, and how your proposals were, how there was, you've really boiled it down to clash of maybe personalities. Could it be said that it was because the two sides just did not see eye to eye on some reason, and this is your version of the whole thing, is that you were being let down?
I don't think so. I don't think so that it had anything to do with interpersonal relationship. It was not as if we didn't like each other's faces. It was just that they didn't like my outspokenness. They didn't like the fact that I said it as it was, on more often than not. I refused to be subservient to them, and I held my ground, and I never tread on their toes unnecessarily. It was they who were trying to treat me shabbily, which I was not prepared to take.
Again, I repeat in a different way the same point. Is it personal pique that you are now mentioning all these things? Because you say that in the beginning, you say that when you came in and joined, you felt that the BCCI was indifferent. Surely at that moment, it could not have been personality clash or your outspokenness, because they hardly knew you. Is it personal pique? Is it personal lack of rapport? Is it good old-fashioned chemistry not happening?
No, please understand, when I joined the BCCI, neither Mr. Vinod Rai nor Mr. Rahul Johri were part of that board. I was there, but the general atmosphere in the board was that they couldn't care less about corruption. My sense was that it was lack of awareness, and I was surprised because they ought to have realized that so much had happened in the recent past that had led to the entire set of administrators being packed off. I'm referring to Mr. N. Srinivasan and various other people who were packed off because of complaints of corruption and so on and so forth. So I had expected that corruption would be a very big deal as far as the board was concerned. But to this date, I have not understood why they haven't got this basic point that they should be careful about this.
You mentioned that they were at that time. No, the irony is simply in the fact that a body set up to clean things was itself not very, shall we say, not very concerned about its own conduct and allowed so many things to slide. You mentioned that there was allegations of Me Too and sexual misconduct.
Yeah, that was much later, but it came up.
So basic point you're saying is, over and over again, Neeraj, is that this special group of administrators themselves were not they were very casual about corruption. While they were put there to clean the stables, they themselves did not care too much. And things must have definitely got not only wrong, I suspect that there is a possibility that the whole thing was looking too overwhelming or perhaps too lucrative, or perhaps, that let us continue the way things are going. What was it?
This is the exact point I'm trying to make. See, the 2013 spot fixing case was not the only scandal that had rocked the Indian cricket. After all, the year 2000 CBI inquiry, which led to the banning of Mohammad Azharuddin and other three players, international players, Mr. Ajay Jadeja, Mr. Ajay Sharma and Mr. Manoj Prabhakar, that had been preceded by the famous, or shall we say the infamous Hansi Cronje case, which had also happened on the soil of India. So there had been a long history of corruption in Indian cricket. But things had come to a head after the 2013 spot fixing case, because it reflected directly on the board, and its president had to be sacked. President had to move on the orders of the Supreme Court. So surely this board should have been very cognizant of corruption in the game. But I do not, till date, I do not understand why it did not strike them to give proper attention to this aspect.
Any conjecture why it did not strike them? Your own conjecture?
You see, my conjecture is that The general spirit in the board is survival, self-survival, and making merry as long as things go on well. So it's I think the quality of people who are there, which it's a reflection on them, quite frankly.
General survival, I can understand. Making merry means surely it's a very glamorous post to hold.
Yes, a glamorous post to hold with many perks of office, and everybody enjoys every bit of it.
I think you begin the book by saying, when you write about landing in Calcutta, that the Calcutta hotel where you were staying and the players were staying and the managers were staying and the lobby was full of hangers on. And the word you have employed is very interesting. It was a circus. So everyone was having a merry old time. And surely in that circus, there must have been some kind of malfeasance possible.
Most certainly. I've already talked about it in detail.
Okay. The departure of Mr. Rai and Mr. Johri, now there is an entirely different management running the BCCI. As you know, the BCCI is richer than ever before, more powerful than ever before. Do you think as you said, lessons have been learned, they implemented most of your recommendations. Do you think Indian cricket today is relatively clean?
See, please understand the biggest scandals in Indian cricket, they were unearthed accidentally. That means it is not as if the police were keeping an eye on the proceedings of a game or a tournament and they came across acts of malfeasance or acts of corruption. Police was intercepting telephones in the first case involving Hansi Cronier with regard to extortion calls coming to a businessman in Delhi. And during those interceptions, they heard the voice of Hansi Cronier and deals being fixed. Similarly, the 2013 spot fixing case, we were listening to telephone calls suspecting some terrorist activity. And there we come across talk of cricket going on. Now, just because these two, we were listening to calls being made in connection with terrorism or extortion, we came across, it doesn't mean that all that is going on today is kosher. We don't know what is going inside because we do not know what lies in the background. The point I'm trying to make is that the game of cricket is not under constant surveillance, that any wrong that they do will be caught. We are banking on the good sense of the players and the strict controls that are observed, the anti-corruption education program that is given to them, and the examples that have been made out of people who have erred in the past. People who have gone the wrong way, they have been banned, their careers have been ruined. So that is an example that has been set for people who are playing the game now. They know that the stakes are very high. If they commit even a minor slip, they are going to, and if they get caught, they are going to lose their careers. But yet, nobody can say with guarantee that the games are absolutely above board.
The stakes certainly are very, very high because the amount of cricket being played and the money that is being given and the auctions and the possibility of an auction. There you must have read there were these minor cases of somebody promising a chance to play and getting cheated. So all kinds of things must be going on. Women's cricket is also doing very well, fortunately. As you say, the stakes are very high and so much cricket, anything can be happening.
Most certainly.
I'm talking like a cricket fan here.
Most certainly, most certainly. And we have investigated cases where people have offered places in an IPL team. They have held, fake selection trials.
Yes, I saw that. I read that.
And invited people to participate in them, taken huge amounts of money, gone to the extent of telling two cricketers that they had been selected, but before they can join the team, they must part with 15 lakhs of rupees each, and so on and so forth. So all this is going on in the background. So what exactly is happening in the main tournaments itself, it is hard to say. But by and large, I repeat that the levels of corruption or the ability of the corruptors to compromise the game is minimal, and corruption, if at all there is in the top strata of the game, it is within manageable limits.
Meanwhile, do you think that the board is now extremely serious about tackling any kind of corruption scandal on its own? I mean, with its own unit, with its own processes, with its own surveillance?
Sidharth, I have to be honest with you, I am not aware of what all they are doing at the present to fight corruption in the game. All that I know is that they have given more resources to the anti-corruption unit. That's all I know. But what exactly is happening, what steps they have taken, I'm not privy to them.
Surely, as a fan and as a former chief of the ACSU, the Corruption and Security Unit, you have not lost interest in what's going on.
No, I have not lost interest, but I won't be given all the information, the inside information of what is going on.
Okay, so you can only hope for the best.
Yes, indeed.
Meanwhile, I think my last question to you, I was saving up for the last. Neeraj Kumar, what is the feedback you have got for your book, for your advanced reviews, for the interviews you've given? What is the feedback you have got, especially from people you have specifically named?
With all humility at my command, I have to share with you, Sidharth, that the response has been very encouraging. The reviews have been very positive, and I was most concerned about the reaction that I'll get following this book. But I must say that I'm very glad with the sort of reaction that I've got so far.
No, I think I was very unclear in expressing myself. That what is the feedback you have got about the people you have named?
Oh, so far none. The feedback from third parties is that, well, you have invited trouble. You should be prepared to face defamation suits and so on and so forth. Well, if it comes to that, we'll have to face them.
Okay, well, defamation suits and libel, etc. is the order of the day. I suppose for anyone who writes, I'm sure you're quite familiar with what writers face. So I think you should be welcoming it. It will boost the sales of your books to begin with. That was Mr. Neeraj Kumar, former police commissioner of Delhi, and the man who was tasked with the job of cleaning up Indian cricket in the mid-2010s and did a good job, except that he found that he got no support from his bosses. Talking about his 3-year stint in the Board of Control of Cricket of India. We thank you once again, Neeraj Kumar, for joining us, and we'll be back next week once again with another guest. Till then, from me, Sidharth Bhatia, and the rest of the Wire Talks team, goodbye.
You can check out this podcast and other interesting ones on the Wire website, the IVM podcast website, app, or wherever else that you get your podcasts. Goodbye from me, Sidharth Bhatia, and the Wire Talks podcast team.
Hey, it's been a special week for the IVM Podcast Network as we turn 8 this year. Listeners, thank you for being with us on this wonderful journey. Presenting to you, Club Cyrus Says, the premium tier offerings for our podcast. Club members will get exclusive Cock and Bull episodes every Monday, extended and unfiltered versions of the guest episodes, access to the Club Cyrus Says Discord server, and audio offerings such as ad-free episodes and early access to guest episodes. Also, members get to decide the topics of live episodes and get their name on the producer's slate at the end credits. On the Wire Talks, Sidharth talks to former BBC journalist Satish Jacob about the latest income tax raid conducted at their BBC office in Delhi. On The Habit Coach, Ashton helps you get a perfect answer to the question, who do we work for? On Storytellers and Storysellers, Vineet hosts actors Madhyama and Chayan from Netflix's hit series Class. They spoke about how they prepared for their roles and working with Ashim Ahluwalia. And on Vartalab, Akash and Naveen talk to Anshu Patni, CEO Mythoverse Studio and podcaster. They speak about parenting, home culture, and Anshu and Akash's days working together. Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. We have some exciting stuff for you over there. Follow us on social media via IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, spread the word. Tell your friends and don't forget to rate and review us wherever you're listening to us. You'll also find all our shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Yono SBI, Cash Free Payments, and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you for making this possible. Hi, my name is Abbas. You can catch me on Has It Aged Well with my co-host Purjita Wani. We are discussing the 2002 film Aankhein with comedian Chirayu Mistry. We talk about the genius of Paresh Rawal, the weird things that Amitabh Bachchan does in this film, and how believable is the travel time in Mumbai in this film. Catch it on the IVM Pop feed and YouTube channel.